So from here, we're going to jump into a live demo, and we'll go through a few of these examples. So where do we start? Hopefully, we're starting to get some wheels turning here. But I'm going to break down how I see people using AI in three different buckets for this conversation, at least: assistants, analysts, and agents. And you can kind of think of this as sort of like basic, intermediate, and advanced level use cases, but don't let the categorizations fool you. The beginner level assistants, quote unquote, can be insanely helpful, and they can just be easier to get started with. And again, I think this is a little bit of like a crawl, walk, run approach that is just like really beneficial to get more familiar with the technology and help others do the same. So let me switch over to the LVEX screen here, which is what we're going to work in today. And for those who aren't very familiar with LVEX, I'll just kind of like reiterate so you have context here. LVEX is the centralized place where a team can operate across any model of their choice or any family of model of their choice. So you see examples of OpenAI, Anthropic. It's a data secure platform. So any of the work that you're doing in here is not being used to feed or train the models that are underlying the software. And it's very interconnected. So there's data sources, there's actions and integrations that help you kind of take the work that you're starting to do with these LLMs and actually spread it to the places where it needs to exist at the end of the day. So we can start with like a basic chat, or we have lots of bookmarked assistants and workflows that right now I'm just showing to help you get a sense for the different types of things that AI can help you do across many different parts of the business. But for this conversation, we're going to jump into a basic assistant first. And this is just, it's honestly a very simple HR policy assistant. The idea here is you can connect your documentation, your policies, and give people a way to 24/7 answer any questions that they may have about the business operations. This may not be the highest value ROI, assistant or thing that you can build with AI, but there's a couple reasons that I like to show this as an initial way to get started. One, you might be surprised how many people we talk to and we show this use case and they're like, oh, I have an engineering team that's been trying to build this for 4 months and they're building the whole infrastructure and architecture from scratch. That's not the best use of their time, right? So the purpose here is we make it very easy for anyone in the organization to have an idea and start to build against it very, very quickly. It's also very easy. I think sometimes people get a little concerned about, well, like what type of information is going to come back? Are we able to trust it? We're connecting to data sources here that are the official documentation and information for the business. And the assistant is instructed to only reference information that are found in those official documentation. So when I ask it this question about our parental leave policy, I'm getting all the information back. I see the reference of where the information is coming from, so I can fact check. But if I ask something that's out of bounds, this is also programmed to not answer those questions. So this is where it gets really important, I think, as a leader or someone who's trying to implement for themselves or for their business. You have to experience this and test the boundaries and see where you will and won't find success or what tweaks need to be made so that you can feel really confident in what you're rolling out. But it's absolutely possible to roll out experiences like this that can be really beneficial, and make it very easy for people across the company to find the answers that they need or get the work done that they need to get done. We'll jump into how to build some of these things in just a moment, but I'm going to go to another assistant here, a fairly simple one, but one that can be really useful and kind of fun. So in this case, I'm going to copy the prompt in here that I prepared previously. And we are going to ask this assistant or tell this assistant that I want to make the case to switch from Salesforce to HubSpot CRM. And based on our CEO's evaluation process, what should I be prepared for? So this CEO role play assistant has been designed to basically like reference transcripts from documents that where we've had discussions about other business case that and budgets that we've proposed to the CEO. So this is allowing us to kind of like role play or simulate the experience of asking for budget for a major project like this. And in this case, so to go back to the initial prompt, I want to make the case, what should I be prepared for? So the first thing this is doing is it's helping us just identify what are the different areas that we really need to investigate to make a complete case so that the first presentation to the CEO here is going to be as complete and successful as possible. Now, I might follow it up and say, okay, help me create a template so I can make the business case in a way that will satisfy what we expect that he will want to see. And LVEX is now going to create this document so that we can have a template that we can use on repeat. While it's doing that work, I'm going to jump into the settings for this specific assistant and just kind of walk through some of the things that we set up here to account for different types of use cases that we imagine. So very importantly here, we're instructing to only use the information and style provided in the data sources, which you'll see below here. Very important within LVEX and very important to make sure you're aware of if you're using other tools for these types of use cases. The way that we are syncing data sources here, we are directly connecting to documents and files and folders in Google Drive. So this is a live sync. As information in these files or folders changes, they will automatically be connected to this assistant and this data source. And we can be guaranteed that we are using the most current version of the information that we want to reference here. If you are relying on a system where you're kind of having to upload static documents and constantly maintain them, that's just something to be aware of about the scalability and maintenance level required for whatever the use case is that you're imagining there. There's other ways to connect data and information to LVEX, but for us, we're a Google shop, so we're using Google Drive in this case. For some of the instructions here that are important, you'll notice that we're actually giving this assistant the ability to interact with us in multiple ways. So another use case that I might have here is to generate quotes in the CEO voice using one of the documents as a style guide so that we can have quotes from the CEO's voice for internal, external comms. And then obviously the thing that we demoed was really more of that like role play for the internal conversations and budget approvals. So different things can be accomplished in a single assistant, or you can specialize just for one, kind of up to you depending on how you envision these types of tools being used. So if we jump back here, we can see we now have this really nicely laid out template that we can start to use. So if I want to work directly within LVEX, the nice thing is I can just start editing right here and say, my name is John Levitt. And this can be the place where we actually continue to do the work. Why is this valuable? Again, it's just streamlining the way that we're working. It's not just a question answer type interaction with a chatbot. This is a place where we can actually come and get work done and leverage the integrations and work style workspace that we have here. So we can come back to this maybe in a moment, but we'll kind of leave this here as the second example of an assistant that we wanted to show here. Let's move, we've already gotten to that. Let's move on to another example here, moving into the data analysis type of use case. So in this case, different from the prior example, I have the instructions for this assistant configured so that I only have to tell it, hey, do the analysis. I don't have to prompt it with something specific that I want to look at. And that's just a factor, again, of how we envision people using these assistants. And this one is very narrowly built to do a specific thing in exactly the same way every single time. The other one that we were just looking at over here, the CEO roleplay assistant, has more variability to how people might want to interact with it. And so there's less boundaries in terms of what people can do with it.
I like how this one you show up and you just click a button and it does the thing that you want.
Yeah, so it's I think very, again, important to think about like the design of these assistants. How do we want people interacting with them and how can we make it super easy for them to use it? We don't want people having to like work too hard to figure out what is the thing that I'm supposed to do here? What information do I need to provide? We want them to just be able to quickly get their work done. So if you are in a position where you are building for others or helping others build, that part of like user research, user understanding is really, really important so you can give them the right experience. And, again, that's something that LVEX is very attuned to helping folks with. Now, this is an example that I wanted to show because I think, especially for companies of a certain size, you get so much feedback in these surveys and it's really hard to make sense of them. And you really need an analyst team to help you figure out what does the data say? What are the actions that we need to extract from it and so on and so forth. And so in this example, we kind of have that analyst sitting co-pilot with us to help get us through some of these challenges. The draft that you see here, again, this is a template that we have pre-programmed and we are always asking for these positive themes, the negative themes, and the suggested questions for the next survey based on the responses that we're seeing in the responses that we just analyzed. Now, we're also doing some math here, so you can see the queries that are run to extract this information from the attached spreadsheet or database that we're connected to. And so it's actually running the calculations, not just retrieving information. So it can allow you to do much higher level, much more advanced analysis on a data set, whether that's qualitative or quantitative, and importantly, focus your time and attention then on the things that matter, which is not necessarily figuring out the analysis, but more to the point of what is the action that I need to take? How can I get better engagement with our employees and solve problems or capture opportunities? All right, we're going to move on to the third category here that we were talking about earlier. And this is where we get more into agents and workflows and things that are much more advanced. And I have a saved prompt here, so I'm just going to hit send on this and we'll watch Elvex do its magic here. But in this case, I'm wanting to create an agent that can basically take a job description or a job posting and do some research. And let's see, I will say, I'm just going to cheat a little bit and say, make assumptions for some of the qualifying questions that it's asked here to build a really good assistant. We'll see Elvex do its thing here. So this set of features and functionality is really important. We are very much of the mind that we have to make this technology very easy, not just to use, but to build with. We believe that everyone in an organization can be a builder with AI, but there still are, things that we can make much, much easier so that people can get started much, much quicker. So here you can see I've just built a complete agentic workflow diagram here. There's 52 unsaved changes. That means 52 buttons and clicks and typing that I didn't have to do. At worst, this has saved me a ton of time. So if I'm an advanced user, setting up all of these nodes and making the connections and typing all the prompts in each of these steps, this has saved me probably a couple of hours of work. As a novice user, this is now a way that I can get started and feel super powered and do things that I wasn't able to do previously. Now, a use case like this, what we are aiming to do here is to take a job description, analyze the job description, and at the end of the day, the important thing is we want to source candidates, right? So this is something that operations and HR teams and department leaders have to do very, very frequently, source candidates for the positions that they're trying to fill. And I've just created this process to accomplish that very quickly. So I've already run this in the background because this is a more involved thing. It would take a little while to go through, but you can see my entire prompt here is to provide, here's the link to the job description. Here's Elvex's understanding of the task that it needs to complete. And here's the results. So it's gone out and found, in this case, we're asking it to find 10 qualified candidates at a time, build this into a spreadsheet where we have a step that is also going to then evaluate, is this candidate that we found actually a good fit or not a good fit, provide us some explanations as for why, and then also help us draft some communications to these users so that we can get in their inbox and get them attracted to the role that we're trying to promote here. These are the types of things that can really ramp up the level of activity and productivity across your team. Now, granted, you're still going to want to do some, human in the loop review on some of this stuff to make sure that the outreach is what you expect from a brand perspective and so on and so forth. But getting to that stage much, much faster with high quality work is something that we find really, really valuable. The last thing that I'm going to highlight, and again, this isn't necessarily just an Elvex thing, though I think we do a really good job of it, is when we're rolling out these types of tools and new technology and transformation across the business, really important to stay in tune with how people are using this stuff or not using this stuff. And becomes an enablement challenge to make sure that we are training and onboarding and doing discovery of use cases and all of those things in the ways that are going to help people feel enabled, empowered, and successful in what they're trying to do. So we invested very early in building user analytics that administrators can understand, how people are engaging with the platform and what they need to be be doing to be more successful, what training programs, hackathons, things like that we talked about before. And we see lots of success from our customers who actually invest in the management of the technology, not just the rollout of the technology initially. So hopefully those are some useful tips and tricks for how to really start to kind of like get the motion of the organization moving in a way that's thinking about AI as a sort of like first stop, how we can appropriately solve problems, leverage the team that we have, amplify the skills that they have, and really just kind of help people move at the speed of light with the work that they're trying to do on a day-to-day basis. So I will pause there. And Doyle, I don't know if we've had any questions come in throughout that we can address, or if there's anything that I didn't touch on that should have.
We got a question. It's like, how would you tweak the agent build if you didn't like how it created it the first time around?
That is a great question. So let me go back to my screen share here. So I would say there's a couple useful tips that I would say. So let's go back to actually this conversation. So in LVEX, we have this feature called self-improvement. So if I turn this on and I can say, add the template, let's see, add the template to every future interaction in your rules. Oh my gosh, spelling. So we always follow this template. Luckily, AI can figure out misspellings fairly well, but this self-improvement feature inside of LVEX will basically review the conversation history here, or allow you to just like say, I want to make a change to the rules, and automatically update them with the proper like prompt engineering that has to go into it for that rule to be reflected well and do the job that it's supposed to do. Really handy feature. If you're not using LVEX, if you're just using like a Claude or GPT or Gemini, it's still a good idea if you're kind of like running a task and it's not working the way that you want, or it takes some massaging to get there. You can always just ask, like, why did you do what you did? Or you did something wrong. Can you evaluate why you did it wrong? And like, how can we fix it for next time? There may be more manual work to like copy, paste, and update the rules for the assistant if you're not using LVEX, but still a helpful kind of like cheat code to get the AI model to basically explain what it's doing, why it's doing it, and how to fix it. So you can see here in this case, that whole template that we provided on the side, it's added here. And all I have to do is click update and it'll be reflected. So the next time I or someone else comes to use this assistant, it'll already be there ready to go.
Well, I love that. We had gotten some other questions that you actually answered live earlier. So unless there's something else that comes in right now, I think we can end our short webinar even earlier, which we all have things to do.
I love being on time.
Oh, we got one last one. All right. How does this compare to OpenAI's new agent build kit feature? Agent kit, sorry.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think this functionality was just delivered by OpenAI in the last couple of days, and the early look that we've had at it seems really capable, but it is definitely built, and I think the whole theme of what was presented from OpenAI on their demo day, really engineering focused. And when we think about the primary users and the largest user groups across the organizations that we work with, there are engineers, of course, but there's also a lot of people who, would look at the requirements to build a workflow from scratch and get really intimidated really fast. So the workflow builder assistant, where we just prompt it and it builds the entire construction for us, that is absolutely a huge advantage to welcoming people in, helping them move faster, and helping them basically operate above the skill set that they might imagine that they're at. Even though OpenAI, I think, has introduced some things that do make it a little bit more easy and approachable for the average user, there's still, you still should know how to code and probably be a more product oriented person to get the right sort of utility out of that specific platform. I know you've looked at it as well, Doyle. I don't know if you have additional thoughts on it.
Yeah, the most important thing is, can everyone do it, or is it going to be incredibly intimidating when you try and do things? I think,
Yeah.
a lot of non-technical roles are, people who are the doers and executors and have the real like domain knowledge of their specific problem. And the less you need to rely on someone who doesn't really understand your domain space to begin creating solutions for yourself, I mean, the better. But
Yeah.
that was the
I
last
always think
question.
about
Sorry.
I always think about like I came up as a salesperson, so I can pick on salespeople sometimes. But your average salesperson, would they be able to do this? Would they have the like? Would they feel welcomed in this platform to do the thing that they need to feel empowered to do? And if yes, great. That's sort of like who we are building for. Um, but also providing tools for more advanced users to kind of do the next level, much more involved and integrated tasks and builds as well.
With that, I think we're good here. And thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, John.